What's up, guys? Hope you guys had a happy 4th. The holiday weekend's going great. Today is actually my wife's birthday. It's July 6th. We celebrated her surprise birthday last week, so I'm sure we'll get into some things a little bit later today. As far as me, please hit the subscribe button. I always say this. I kind of do things out of order all the time. And hit that notifications button. It'll let you know anytime we post something here. What I try to do is tell you where the weather is telling you to go, or at least pointing in that direction. Go over pitching matchups, anything I know about certain pitchers, we'll throw it out there. And I'll pick some random games. I will throw out domes and talk about weather in case they open them. There's another one today where if it gets open, it's a huge boost, but we shall see. Now, I did want to say this because I heard some people talking about the weather and how you look at things. I still handicap games the way that everybody else does. When I see that the weather matches up with my plays, that's when I basically go from 6 to midnight. I get a little excited there. This past week, though, I've had some really good days. I had back-to-back losing days. Friday wasn't kind to me. What was it? The Rays over just looked amazing. And then it was 3-3 late, and I'm like, please give us extra innings. And, of course, they walked it off. The Twins did. And what was the other one? Oh, and I had the Guardians over the Tigers, and it was 1-0 for a while, then 1-1. There were 3 solo home runs hitting that game. And this Guardians lineup just looks putrid. They had opportunities in the 9th, which made it even more frustrating. But and even opportunities in the 8th. So they were flirting with disaster were the Tigers, but they held on. I lost that. My Friday fireworks play was in the A's game, and that went off. I didn't hit any one of my as I went on the morning show and I talked about my lottery tickets. I was close with the A's game. I was just a Brent Rooker home run off. And as I said then, you could mix it up and just go 1.5 total bases if you want to feel more comfortable about that. Some of the prop plays I've been giving out on the morning show, we've hit a ton of them. Even on Friday where the Nats screwed me. I love the Nats in the morning, 4th of July in D.C., and I really liked Mike Soroka and the way he'd been pitching. I thought he was going to strike out a ton of Red Sox players, so I talked about that prop bet. He did. He covered that going into the 4th inning and then just got annihilated, I think, in the 5th. He just fell apart. He got the bases loaded and couldn't find the strike zone. So, again, I'm one of those guys, whether you lose by 1 or you lose by 10, and I think I lost by 10 in that one, it doesn't matter to me. It's the same result. It's an L. And in baseball, more so than any other sport, those numbers can get out of whack because if I'm a manager and I'm looking at my bullpen and I go, well, hell, we're down 6 runs and it's the 5th inning. We're going to trot out the long man, the guy that shouldn't be on the team, the guy that's just going out there to get beat up. Every team has a few of those guys, or save the guys that you trust for the next day, So, but yeah, I had back-to-back losing days. It was kind of frustrating. I was 1-2, I was 2-3 overall. But, no bueno on a couple of those games. I called the Phillies Reds, said that was a sneaky good game and waited for that negative regression. And again, I said this on the morning show. If I say negative regression, positive regression, if you guys want me to break it down in just layman's terms, it's either being lucky or unlucky. So when you look at the numbers, you're going, oh, he's been, let's say for a hitter, he's been hitting the ball right at fielders. He's hitting it hard. Eventually that works itself out more times than not. Same thing with pitchers. If you're looking at a pitcher and you see a really high whip and you see a low ERA, that's kind of going to be an indication that he's putting guys on base and he's finding ways to get out of it. Eventually, you don't find that way to get out of it, and that's when you have the big inning. So either way, just something to think about. Check out everything at Pickdawgz. I know there's a bunch of stuff coming on. Coming up, I got to get the Christmas in July stuff, so I'll get my stuff set up for that, but I'll have to touch base with somebody. I know, was it code word pick to save you a little percentage at the end. So a lot of things. I'll have to get better at breaking down all this stuff for the codes and everything. But as we go along with this, it'll feel more like riding a bike. This is basically what I do every day. I just BS and ramble. So you guys will get a bunch of that. All right, let's get into the games for today. Couple of things that I find interesting. I'm going to start with the Roku game. It is the Orioles and the Braves. And so this is an 11:30 start. I don't know if I talked about this on my radio show or on a podcast. They had I think it was the Peacock games, and then Roku got the Sunday games. But on the Peacock games, they were at noon or 11 every Sunday, And there was a stretch where, like, I think it was 9 or 10 straight weeks the games went over. And I'm not talking like, hey, the total's 7 or 8 and they score 9 total runs. I'm talking the games went over by 6, 7 runs. There was a weird stretch we had there. But I think these earlier games are tough. Like, especially I've talked about shadows when you get afternoon games and how that can affect them. But when you look at the Orioles and Braves here, 5 miles an hour blowing out is the wind, and it's not a huge help. It's 90 degrees, which that's a help. And I've told you, if you get any rain in that forecast, I didn't see any in Atlanta. If you get rain in the forecast, then obviously the humidity can pick up with that heat. And of course, I think the ball carries, but I'm not going to sit here and knock Didier Fuentes. I don't know enough about him in his 9-run ERA, but that was his first opportunity last time. The Orioles can tend to make pitchers look pretty good. He is right-handed, not left-handed, so there's not a real advantage there as the Orioles struggle against left-handed pitching. But I don't want to be the guy that's recommending the Orioles in all these games against the Braves. I recommended them on Saturday. We'll wait and see how that goes. I didn't touch the game on Friday, but I kind of was interested in the Orioles with that big price tag that Spencer Strider had. So didn't bet it, full disclosure, but I was interested. It was one of the games I ended up crossing off. And that's kind of how I work. I write down everything I like, and then I go backwards so I'm not crossing off games, so I'm not betting too many games. And look, it mixes the matches because you'll have days where you're like, damn, I like 10 games, and I don't know which one to scratch off. I'll bet all 10, and then I might have another day where it's like, I don't like anything. But I usually find at least something to root for that night. I'll keep doing research until I feel like I have an advantage. But, yeah, so in a game like this, Trevor Rogers he's been on one. Yeah, the guy has two of the best starts, or the two best starts the Orioles have had this year, and Charlie Morton's looked ridiculous, so I don't even know what the hell's going on there. I would lean towards an under here. I think Fuentes pitches better in his second outing, and I think Trevor Rogers continues doing what Trevor Rogers has been doing, just getting you to pound the ball in the dirt or striking you out. I mean, he gets a ton of ground balls. He's another one of those ground ball merchants. So love this spot for an under. I'm leaning under, but come game day, this might be something I jump all over. I say game day, that would be today when you guys are watching this, but I am recording this on Saturday. All right, let's go to the Angels and Jays. I wanted to bring this up, and I feel like I've talked about the Jays all 3 days. They've just been on fire. I was so pissed on Saturday. I almost swept the board with my prop picks, and I loved Vlad Guerrero, and he got the day off. And I was like, when you love somebody and you feel like the matchup's perfect and they get the day off, it's just a pisser, man. But in this spot, if they decide to open the dome, winds are blowing out at 14 miles an hour. And it's 85 degrees there. I think a lot of places say they open the dome, 65 to 80 degrees, as long as it's not raining outside or it's going to be unbelievably hot. So I still think there's that chance they may open it depending on what the actual degrees are or how they're feeling. But if they do, huge bump to bats. They have to announce that at least an hour before the game. I think it's 90 minutes actually, but it takes them an hour to open up the dome. It is so funny with these glasses. So I needed readers, right? I had LASIK surgery. I can't see shit. I can't hear anything. Everything's falling apart. Our pets' heads are falling off. I mean, it's just been bodies breaking down. And it's so funny. I bought this 3-pack, and it was the only one they had left at the place I went when my last pair of glasses broke. And I grabbed this 3-pack, and there's 2 black, and this one was in the back of it. I didn't see it. And the black ones break, bang, bang, like that. These have lasted like 4 months, man. These damn, I don't even know what you call them. Are they tiger? Yeah, whatever. It's stupid. That being said, getting back to this, with this Jays game, though, you're getting Tyler Anderson and Kevin Gausman. I've talked ad nauseum about Kevin Gausman. He's a reverse splits pitcher, meaning righties hit him harder. You look at the Angels lineup, I like their righty bats. And if I'm going to be brutally honest, Tyler Anderson, I think the guy's solid. Like, I'd have no problem with him being my 4th or 5th starter. Eats up innings. He's one of those lefties. He can get Ks. He can get ground balls. But the big thing here is the Blue Jays strike out less than any other team in Major League Baseball. They've been hitting extra base hits. Barger, Springer, Guerrero. I mean, you name it. They're hot. I love the over here. I'm going to lean towards the over. This might end up actually being a play. If they open the dome, it's a no-brainer to me to go and bet that over. But I think the Angels can hit a couple of bombs off of Kevin Gausman. I mean, if he's on and that splitter's working, I hate saying this because you can literally say this about any game. If the pitcher's on, it doesn't matter. Like, I talked about the WNBA game I bet the other night when I turned it on and I went, ooh, this one's over. I don't have to watch this now. you need like a miracle to happen. Sometimes it does, but more times than not, you're still searching. So if they do open the dome, it's a huge bump, but I would lean towards the over here. Let's go to the Tigers and the Guardians. 10 miles an hour out, 90 degrees. Tarek Skubal versus Gavin Williams. Tarek Skubal, best pitcher in baseball. He's facing one of the worst offenses in baseball. So do with that what you will. I mean, the Tigers look like a great spot for him. I've said all along, I don't bet run lines on the road or for home teams. I will bet them on the road from time to time, but I'm not a big run line better. If I find the right spot, maybe it's today, but I got a weird feeling this game's going over, and that's where I'm going to lean. I'm not telling everybody to bet this game because it's hard to suggest an over in a Tarek Skubal game because you might need the Tigers to get you all the runs in this spot. It will be a lower number because of the way he's been pitching. But in a couple of those games, he has like loaded the bases early and got out of jams. Is that my only knock against him? Like, oh, he put 3 guys on and then he just struck out the next 2 guys. He did it a couple times, so if you're hoping that maybe a run gets scratched out here or there. But Gavin Williams, another player, like I told you, I like the lefty lineup for the Tigers. There's more pop in there with Kerry Carpenter in the lineup. Riley Green's been killing it. I mean, the Tigers, I don't know how they keep doing it, but they do. And then I was looking at Javier Baez is an all-star outfielder. I don't even know what the hell's going on. But that being said, Gavin Williams puts way too many guys on base. He is capable of getting strikeouts. But when you look at that chunky-ass whip right around 1.5, and he has the propensity to hit bats, and I mean he can miss bats with the best of them, but he gets hit hard because he throws hard. And if he's over the middle of the plate, this could be a long day. That's why I think the over is interesting. I think everybody's going to be on the under. Full disclosure, I have no idea if I'm going to be betting this until tomorrow. But you have to admit, taking overs in Tarek Skubal games feel like risk because he's been so good, so good. All right, let's go to the last game here. And before I get to that, did want to tell you, I mentioned the 10-mile-an-hour winds blowing out with the Tigers and Guardians. The Mets and Yankees have 11-mile-an-hour winds blowing out. That's a Max Fried, maybe bullpen game for the Mets, I believe, from what I was reading. I haven't seen if they're going to announce a starter. And when I say bullpen game, sometimes that just means an opener. We've had, I still call those bullpen games. If you start with an opener and you go to a starter, sometimes you see them go deep in the games. Sometimes it's just a strategic thing, like the Tigers and Rays do it all the time, where it's like, I know when the Tigers came to town, the Orioles can't hit lefties. They opened with a lefty in 2 games, and they had Tarek Skubal in the other one, So there are teams that use that to their advantage, but I still consider those bullpen games when you're starting off like that. So if you hear me say it, it could be an opener going to a starter, but it looks like a bullpen game. So do with that what you will. 11-mile-an-hour winds blowing out. But I want to get to this last game, and I've been all over the over in this series so far with the Phillies and the Reds. But this is Chase Burns and Zach Wheeler. Winds out about 7 miles an hour, 90 degrees there. I am going to suggest an under as my free play here. There's a lot to look at. Chase Burns, the ability to strike out guys, but also the ability to lose control, walk some guys, and give up hard contact. That's what we saw in his last start. When he went up against Garrett Crochet. Remember, we were talking about that game, like, how do you not like the under here with these 2 guys? But I know everybody's going to be on the over, so does it sway me from getting off of that bet? Or I'm assuming everybody's going to be on the under. Does it sway me from getting off of that bet? Because, like, sometimes it's not even about fading the public. It's just about not betting that game. I say this all the time with baseball. It's not always about beating the starting pitcher. Sometimes you outlast them. You're facing Tarek Skubal. You want to make him pitch. Throw more pitches. You're trying to ambush him early, and all of a sudden you're popping the ball up or you're missing and getting in pitchers counts. It's lights out. You're already playing with a disadvantage going up against him. So with Chase Burns, at some point he's going to figure it out. He definitely has the ability to get strikeouts. There are a ton of strikeouts in the Phillies lineup. And conversely, Zach Wheeler, if you guys heard me talk about him, he's easily one of my favorite pitchers in baseball, maybe my favorite pitcher. I just think that's the consummate professional that goes out, gets his Ks, gives you your 7 innings, and keeps you in a game. It's weird, too. If the Phillies run into the Braves, Zach Wheeler's kind of had the Braves number over the past couple of years. So something to think about. Anyway, make sure you're checking out all the premium plays. Today will be an interesting day. I'm sure there's a lot of baseball plays going on, WNBA. I'll have packages out on both. They'll be up early. And as I always tell everybody, you can contact me on social media at JConnSports if you had a question about a play, if you have a question about the podcast, the Lowdown. That's what we're doing here. I try to come back and respond sometimes Life gets busy and takes over, but I've been trying to get back in there and let you guys know when something changes, like yesterday's pod where the Braves didn't have a pitcher to announce, and then they went to a bullpen game. So I kind of jumped on that pod in the comments at around 3 in the morning and said, hey, here's what's happening. So, but I hope you guys enjoy this. And again, like I said, I have a major surgery coming up August 4th, so I'll be taking a hiatus for a little bit from doing the show, or at least until I can talk. And even when I talk, they might be very short segments because I'm going to have the worst sore throat of my life for about 3 weeks. It's going to be awesome. But maybe I'll start sleeping again. Yeah, I'd like to tell people I'm only 22 and the gray and, the butt forehead and the eyes and everything and how tired I look all the time is only because I'm stressed out. But that's not the case. I just can't sleep. I haven't slept longer than 3 hours consecutively in almost 9 months. So this sleep apnea is a bitch. And, broken sleep all night long. Yeah, you still get sleep, but you still wake up groggy every single day. That being said, definitely check out all the stuff going on over there. I know we got Christmas in July coming up right around the corner. I think it starts tomorrow, but I'll mention more of that on Monday's podcast when we get into it. So appreciate you guys listening. Hope you have a wonderful day. I'll be back tomorrow.